Hi, Church. Welcome to New Frontiers Daily Devotional. As a middle school writing teacher, I have collected lots of resources to turn young people on to the adventure and the hard work of writing. One of the volumes I bought was this: A Beginning, a Muddle, and an End. It's all about learning to tell a good story. The best thing about the book is its title, which aptly describes the writing process. After a great start and before a satisfying ending, the middle can involve lots of confusion, discouragement, wadded up papers, and just plain hard slogging. But it also describes the actual arc of a good story. The beginning that grabs our attention, establishes the setting, and presents a problem. An ending that pulls together all the story's fragments, resolving the problem and showing change in the characters and in the situation. The middle is not so straightforward. The middle contains the setbacks, confusion, page-turning, often discouraging if not scary action that keeps us desperate for help. The middle can feel like a muddle. Much of the Bible shows the muddle of what happened after the problem of man's separation from God in Genesis and before the resolution of that problem in Revelation. In between, the Bible is full of the setbacks and hairpin turns and apparent confusion that makes up a good middle of a good story. The book of Acts contains a great example in miniature. As we've been going through Acts as a church, I keep remembering the plot line of Acts 12, a remarkable standalone story that starts with a terrible problem. Once upon a time, King Herod put the disciple James to death. And because that move seems so popular, he imprisons Peter. He put 16 guards on the job. The people applaud him even more. Herod is sitting pretty. He is quite self-satisfied with his popularity and apparent security as king. Then the story says, so Peter was kept in prison, but earnest prayer for him was made by the church. What ensues are the kind of special effects, I would say miraculous effects, that you might find in any episode of Mandalorian or Harry Potter. An angel appears next to the double-chained and guarded Peter, pokes him, and strikes off his chains. Thinking he was dreaming, Peter groggily follows the angel, who takes him unnoticed past all 16 guards and out of the city gates that magically open. Peter shakes himself awake, realizing God is up to something, and goes to the house where everyone is praying. Now, a bit of comic relief. Peter knocks on the door, and the servant girl Rhoda goes to open it. She's flabbergasted to hear what she thinks is Peter's voice, and in her joy she forgets to open the door and runs to tell everybody else who is still in the middle of praying for him. Peter patiently knocks again, and they finally open the door to the very person they had been in earnest prayer for moments before. They are astonished. Meanwhile, Herod has all the sentries executed for failing to keep Peter in jail. And still in a huff, he traipses to Tyre and Sidon, where he proceeds to put on his royal robes, sit on his throne, and deliver a big speech. All the while, the people flatter him, saying, "The voice of a god and not of a man." Immediately, it says, he was struck by an angel of the Lord because he did not give God the glory. And then he was promptly eaten by worms and breathed his last. I say promptly, though I'm not sure how long that actually took from him being on the throne to being eaten by worms. But if we are talking Star Wars effects, it could have been just moments. It at least happens in just a single sentence in the account. That ending would have been capstone enough, but the real clincher is just after that. It says, "But the word of God increased and multiplied." Now that's a happily ever after. And there's your small, perfect story of Acts 12 embedded in the big, perfect story of the Bible. It begins with persecution, the death of James, and the imprisonment of Peter. This sends the disciples into what probably felt like a muddle of confusion and desperate prayer. An angel rides in, releases Peter, galvanizes the disciples to more prayer, and Herod, blustering away, ends up in the grave with worms. That would be satisfying ending enough, except that it adds that God is breaking out exponentially. Church, we may totally feel like we are in a muddle with all this sickness and political strife. Let it drive us to earnest and unified prayer to the God who is writing the story and has already determined the outcome. His glory covering the whole earth like water covers the sea. That is to say, completely. Remarkably, he is calling us, his church, to partner with him in prayer. As we give ourselves to that, let's see what answers knock on our door in the middle of it all. And unlike Rhoda, let those answers right on in. Take care and have a great day.